Hello and welcome to the February edition of Hawick High News with me, Lothian.
And me, Natasha Burns. Coming up,
I interview Mr Taylor about this year's upcoming Battlefields tour. We find out about the recent S1 trip to Bannockburn. In this episode, Mr Hawkshaw tells us more about his time here at Hawick High School. And we take a look ahead to the 10th of March when we will be taking part in this year's BBC News School Report.
Hello and welcome to BBC News School Report, which is now, believe it or not, in its 10th year.
all that and more coming up on Hawick High News.
Hello. Each year here at Hawick High School, there are a variety of trips that take place.
The Battlefields Tour is an annual trip which has been running jointly by the English and History departments for the last 5 years.
It was originally started by Mr Landels in the early 1980s and has been going from strength to strength since then. I have been speaking to Mr Taylor about this year's upcoming trip. Following 4 successful decades of Hawick High School Battlefields tours, this year's trip is looming. Taking place over roughly 5 days, the group will get the chance to visit Ypres in Belgium, where the group will go and see the trenches, cemeteries, museum, and last post army at the Menin Gate. The group will also visit the Somme battlefields, as well as taking a trip to Disneyland Paris in the final days of the trip. The trip used to run every second year, alternating between the Somme in France and Ypres in Belgium. I've been speaking to Mr Taylor about this year's trip.
It happens to give our school and the pupils in our school a chance to remember the people who fought and died for this country in the First World War between 1940 and 1918. That's the main reason, and that's why most schools in Britain actually do some sort of battlefields tour. But we're also giving our own pupils an opportunity to learn how to get on with people. Sometimes they go with their friends, but they also meet new friends on the trip. So there's a kind of social element as well as the history element and the commemoration element.
Who is the Battlefields trip open to?
Right, it's open to everybody from S4s right up to S6s. A couple of years when we've not had that bit of, much of an uptake, we've maybe allowed S3s to go or some S3s, but it's mainly supposed to be S4s to S6s.
What is the educational benefit of the trip?
Well, hopefully, if the students are listening when their guides and their teachers are speaking to them, they'll learn about how the First World War affected people in Britain, particularly in Scotland, because we teach the higher history course every year, and a third of that is actually to do with the impact of the Grey War on Scotland. So that's incredibly relevant there. It's a joint history and English trip. So we also do readings on the battlefields of war poetry that happened with soldiers that were out in the trenches and decided to write poetry there that's since become very famous. So we'd hope that would also help the students that do English National 5 and higher.
The next compulsory meeting for this trip will take place at lunchtime on Wednesday the 2nd of March in D6. This has been Lothian for Hawick High News.
Now for some news in brief, and as mentioned just there, a compulsory meeting for all those going on the Battlefields trip will take place at lunchtime on Wednesday the 2nd of March in D6. A reminder that the final payment of £100 is due for Wednesday the 1st of March also.
A reminder that the Gardens for Schools competition has started. Collect as many Gardens for Schools vouchers as you can between now and the Easter holidays with the chance of winning a prize.
Drama Club take place after school on Thursdays at 4 p.m. in M11A. See Miss McFarling or Miss Petrie for further details.
And don't forget you can get the daily bulletin updates online on our website at hawickhighschool.co.uk/bulletin.
In recent weeks, 66 S1 pupils took a trip to Bannockburn with the Social Subjects Department.
On the trip, pupils learned about the historic battle that took place, as well as trying on the armour and weapons that were used. Here is Ethan with more.
On the 24th of June 1314, the most famous battle ever fought on Scottish soil took place at Bannockburn near Stirling. On Thursday, 11th of February, a group of 66 S1 pupils went out to find out all about it. The pupils had great fun learning when the battle took place, what armour and weapons the different armies used, and how the armies formed up and prepared to fight. They used a range of interactive displays to learn about the lives of individual soldiers and key figures in the battle like Robert the Bruce. They also dressed up in replica armour and had the chance to hold replica weapons of the sort used in the battle. Controversially, when the pupils reenacted the battle via computer simulation, Edward II and the English were the victors. This has been Ethan Laidlaw for Hawick High News.
Now to our regular segment here on Hawick High News. And this month, Daniel Franklin has been speaking to Mr Hawkshaw about his time here at the school.
So how long have you worked at Hawick High School?
I have worked here for 12 years. This is my 13th year working here.
And do you enjoy being a teacher?
I love being a teacher. My colleagues kind of laugh at me because I've done a lot of jobs, but teaching is by far my favourite job.
What's your favourite part of Hawick High School?
Hawick High News is a big part of Hawick High School. Doing anything with pupils where they are doing it because they want to, because they enjoy it and it inspires them, and I can see them getting stuff out of it. You know. So.
Why did you become a guidance teacher?
I think most teachers kind of want to try and change the world, make the world a better place. And realists, we know we can only do tiny things towards that, but I felt I could help more people being a guidance teacher than I could as an English teacher.
So why did you want to work with children?
Well, I went to university very late. I was in my 30s when I went to university, and I worked with a kids group in Edinburgh while I was studying, just as voluntary work. And I really enjoyed it, and that made me think, actually I'd like being a teacher.
What's your favourite year group to work with?
I like them all. I like when new first years come up because they're funny and they're cute and they say bizarre, outrageous things. But I pretty much I like all the year groups. Every year group is very different from each other.
Now for some sport, and a huge congratulations to the S3 hockey squad and Coach Siddon for reaching the semi-finals in the recent South Schools tournament.
Also a huge well done to former pupils Fraser Rennick and Darcy Graham, who are in a team to play Italy under-20s in the Six Nations Championship.
Now that is pretty much it for this episode of Hawick High News, but first we'll take a look ahead to the 10th of March when we will be taking part in this year's BBC News School Report.
Each year we take part in this event, and it gives school students across the UK the opportunity to research and produce their own news reports on stories which interest them.
Last year, the team visited Holyrood to interview Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon. This year we will be covering all the day's news, as well as taking a look at the stories which matter to the people in our local area.
We will be taking a look back at the floods of December 2015 and how it affected the people of this area. We'll be also having a look at how the Geography and Home Economics departments have been teaming up together to help make learning that bit more exciting for SU pupils. For now, that is it for this episode. Join us on the 10th of March for the BBC News School Report. From me, Natasha, and all the news team, goodbye and thank you very much for watching.